Thank you, Chairman King. I have a few questions. What is the inspiration for this bill? What made you first think of this?
I think what made me first think of it is complaints to my office that there are sexually oriented celebrations going on in our school districts.
What does that mean, a sexually oriented celebration?
I guess it means any celebrations celebrating sexuality of any kind.
So the language in the bill is very broad, and it says regarding sexual preference. You said sexuality of any kind. So, we all have, we are human beings, we're all sexual beings, right? We all have sexual preferences. And it strikes me that, for instance, would this ban the celebration of prom, right? Because you have a date, you have a sexual preference, it's a celebration. I mean, it's written so broadly that I'm not quite understanding what is the intent.
Well, I don't think it would ban things like proms or those kind of things. What I think it would do would stop a school district, an open enrollment charter school, from spending a week in instructing kids in a sexual preference instead of teaching school.
But what do you mean instructing kids in a sexual preference?
I think that's what I mean. There's no other explanation, Ms. Hinojosa. I think that's what we're doing, and I think everybody needs to stop instructing kids in sexual preference, no matter what your ideology is, and focus on teaching kids.
And so is the purpose of your bill to stop any LGBTQ pride events in public schools?
The purpose of my bill is to stop any events of a sexual nature. My bill is explicit, stays away from naming any group. Now, if a group feels like they're being named, then the bill would probably include them, but I don't. My bill doesn't talk about that.
Do you know which school districts in Texas are problematic in your view in terms of celebrating sexual, what did you call it, sexual preference?
I think any school district or open enrollment charter school that engages in these type of celebrations are a problem.
So your bill is not specifically aimed at banning Pride, ISD Pride weeks?
My bill is very consistent. We don't name a group in it. Any sexually oriented celebration would be prohibited under this bill. It doesn't say anything about one group or another. You can ask me that as many times you want to, and that's going to be my answer, and I don't mind answering as many times you want to ask, but that's what the bill says.
Well, it's vaguely written, it's a vague answer, so I'm trying to, and since the consequences are so severe for teachers, loss of their teaching certification, sure. I fear that we're going to immobilize teachers from celebrating all sorts of things and just kind of freely celebrating our communities, our children, and our families. And that's why I'm trying to pin down exactly what it is you are trying to prohibit.
I think having sexually oriented celebrations at school for all grades is teaching our kids a sexual ideology, no matter who's doing it. And a few years ago, we passed a bill about inappropriate student-teacher relationships. I think when you're teaching first graders, an adult's teaching a first grader their worldview of sexuality, that's an inappropriate relationship. I think that should be done in the home.
Is your bill intended to ban any mention of LGBTQ students in school?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't say anything about that.
So is there a compelling state interest at stake here in Texas that you are trying to protect by prohibiting this type of activity or speech or expression in schools?
I think one of the things we're trying to protect are traditional public schools and open enrollment charter schools. And, whether it doesn't matter what group it is, indoctrination is a thing. And, we need to stop all of it and go back to teaching schools and protect our traditional ISDs.
So the way I read this is that one of the intended events that's targeted for being banned is pride events in our ISDs. And is that one of the events that you intend?
I suppose it could be. That's not what the bill says.
Okay. So do you understand? So I represent the Austin ISD School District. They do have a pride event. Mm-hmm. And the purpose, and their stated purpose of this is to create a, quote, safe, supportive, and inclusive environment for students, all students. I think that's so important.
But Ms. Hinojosa, not all students feel safe and included in every celebration.
What do you mean?
Well, that's exactly what I mean. Just there's a community, if a community of kids or teachers or whatever are saying this is for everybody to feel included. Well, what about the kids that don't want to be included in that, or the parents that don't want their kids to be included in whatever? That's what the bill's for. So to say it's for all kids when it's just flat not for all kids. It's not for all parents didn't get to choose that their kids participate in whatever event. And if there's an event going on and a first grader comes home with a sticker that goes against what the child's being taught at home, that first grader doesn't know what that sticker means. They know they got a free sticker. And so it's not inclusive of all kids. Nothing really is.
To say that we support and accept everybody is not inclusive of all kids?
To say that all kids want to participate in a celebration of any kind of a sexual nature is not true. All kids don't want to.
So, Representative King, did you go to high school with kids who were gay or you suspected were gay?
I probably did.
Because I did. And when I was in high school, I graduated in 92, it was acceptable to bully and make fun of and ridicule gay people. And it was out of ignorance, and I participated in it. And I have shame about that. What I love about what we do with these pride events is that we educate our kids and our families so that ignorance doesn't exist, and so that all our kids feel that they are welcomed, they are part of a community, and accepted.
And I appreciate your feelings on the subject. My feelings are, as a parent, teaching my child to be accepting and how to view the world outside of our own lens is my job. It's not a school district's job. It's not a teacher's job. And not every teacher is going to be happy about having to do this. Listen, this bill specifically doesn't talk about one community or another, and you're trying to make it about that. I want it to be about none of that. I want kids to learn to read, write, do their math, go to school. Now, I was a joint author on David's Law. I've taken a huge stance around here on bullying. That's not what this bill is about. This bill is about keeping sexually oriented celebrations out of our classrooms, because what we hear from teachers, and you hear it too, we don't have time to teach because of the STAR test. We don't have time to do anything because we're overworked, but we have time to celebrate a sexually oriented holiday. That's, to me, that's not right. Now, listen, if the bill is too broad and you have something you think would help, I'm more than willing to take a suggestion, but that's my opinion on the bill. The bill is very short. That's what it does.